I want to talk to you today about don't waste your pain. We all go through disappointments, setbacks, loss. Pain is a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter. Think, why is this happening to me? But one of the best principles I've learned is don't put a question mark where God has put a period. All of us have things we don't understand. One reason is we can't see the big picture for our lives. If you have a puzzle, on the front of the box, there's the picture. You see what it's supposed to look like. Maybe it's a sunset overlooking the ocean. As a whole, it's fantastic, so beautiful. But if you were to take one piece and isolate it, you would think, look at this funny looking piece. It's a mistake. It's not going to fit anywhere. It's an odd shape. There's nothing beautiful about it. But the fact is, that piece has a perfect place. It's already been fitted, planned, designed. When the other pieces come together, it will fit in. The reason you can't see it now is because they all are not in place yet. In the same way, sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. Joel, I went through a divorce. I lost a loved one. I'm going through cancer. My business went down. This piece couldn't be a part of God's plan. But you have to trust that even in the painful times, the times you're hurting, you're lonely, you're taking the treatment, on the surface, that piece doesn't make sense. But God doesn't make any mistakes. He's already designed your life, laid out all the pieces down to the smallest details. And God never said that we would understand everything that happens along the way. He didn't promise that we'd never have any heartache, pain, disappointment, loss, setbacks, but He did promise that it would all work out for our good. And that piece that's painful, doesn't look like it makes any sense, when everything comes together, it will fit perfectly into place. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. When I lost my father, I didn't come out like I was before. I was changed. If you go through a divorce, a legal battle, a friend betrays you, eventually that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out with a chip on your shoulder blaming God, or you can come out stronger with a greater confidence in God. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new confidence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you. The scripture talks about how God is in control, not just of our lives, but He's in control of our enemies. Satan had to ask God for permission to test Job. The enemy may turn on the fire, but the good news is God has His hand on the thermostat. God controls how much heat, how much pain, how much adversity. He knows what we can handle. If it was going to harm us rather than help us, God would have turned back the intensity. In those tough times, when you're uncomfortable, going through a loss, dealing with an illness, you could easily let it overwhelm you. It's helpful to remind yourself, I may be in this fire, but I know who controls the temperature. The God who breathed life into me. The God who is for me and not against me. The God who crowned me with favor. The God who takes pleasure in prospering me. He's in complete control. He's not going to let it get too hot. He's not going to let it defeat me. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. You have that attitude, you'll come out stronger, increased, promoted, better than you were before. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. If everything was always easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny. Some of the things I face today, if I would have faced them 10 years ago, they would have overwhelmed me. I couldn't handle it back then. God knows what you need when you need it. Every struggle is making you stronger. Every difficulty is growing you up. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies. Researchers did an experiment with bumblebees. They took them up into space to study the effects of weightlessness on them. The bees floated through the air with great ease, didn't have to use their wings. I'm sure they thought, this is the way we were made to live. No struggle, no adversity, no resistance. For a few days, everything was great. But on the fourth day, something happened. They all died. They loved it being easy, no adversity. But the problem was they weren't created to not have any resistance. In the same way, we were not created to float through life on flowery beds of ease. We're going to the sweet by and by, but we are living in the nasty now and now. We love to not have any pain, loss, disappointments, heartaches, betrayal. That's not reality. Difficulties are a part of life. Have the right perspective. In those tough times, God is getting you prepared. If it was too much, He would have turned back the temperature. He's got His hand on the thermostat. Now quit telling yourself you can't take it. You're not weak. You are well able. You are armed with strength for this battle. You are full of can-do power. The reason the fire is so hot is because God has something amazing in your future. He's getting you prepared for the next level of your destiny. See, God doesn't just randomly say, let me give them some pain to make their life miserable. Let me hit her with a sickness. Let me hit him with some marriage problems. There is a purpose for the pain. We may not always understand it. Joel, why did I get sick? Why did I lose my loved one? Why did my marriage not make it? I can't answer that. But I can tell you, if God allowed it, He knows how to bring good out of it. This is what faith is all about. God, I don't like the pain, but I trust You. I believe You're in control. Now, I'm not going to just go through it. I'm going to grow through it. I'm going to keep a good attitude. I'm going to count it all joy, knowing that this pain is leading to my gain. Sometimes we bring pain on ourselves. We make poor choices, and get in a relationship we know is not good, or maybe get over our head in our spending. And now it's painful. We're having to deal with the consequences. And God is full of mercy. He'll always give us the grace to get out of it. But the way to not waste your pain is you have to learn the lesson.
You only have so much energy in your life. You only have so much focus in your life. You only have so much ability in your life to choose what you're going to do and what you're going to be and what your identity and your self-image is going to be. And when you choose to be one of these victims who thinks there's an Olympics out there for the saddest motherfucking story, that means you have no room to move forward. You have no room for dreams. You have no room for aspirations. You have no room for the actions that lead to those aspirations because you're so busy filling your mind with the bad shit that's happened to you already in life that you have zero chance moving forward. Explain how that makes sense. Okay, we live in a backwards culture where victim mentality is celebrated. The hard shit, the bad shit, the unfortunate shit that's happened to us is glorified through sympathy and virtue signaling, where all these people, all the people you know, pat you on the ass and say, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, you're so brave. Oh, you're so this. Cool. Maybe you are. But that shit will eventually keep you from getting the life that you actually want. That's the shit that's going to keep you from moving forward, to keep you from focusing on what you could be rather than what's actually happened to you in the past. You get one or the other. You can look forward or you can look backwards, but you can't look both ways at the same motherfucking time. And so many of you guys have got enamored and sucked into this victim culture that we are shoved down our throats from the media, from Hollywood, from all these things where we brag about the bad shit that's happened to us and we talk about all this help we need over here and how flawed we are. Motherfucker, we're all flawed. You don't think every motherfucker out there has a sad story of some sort? Fuck, dude. Everybody has hard shit they gotta go through. There's not a single motherfucking successful person on this planet that hasn't gone through their version of really fucking hard shit.
But I learned along the way, everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, he just processing. That's all he's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then he gonna toughen you.
I need you to rejoice in the midst of opposition, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of trials. It's a big difference between quoting scripture and having to live it. Whatever you do, please don't quit. The danger of quitting is it has the possibility to become a habit, and then before long, you'll look up and you'll quit on your wife, you'll quit on your relationship with God, you'll quit on anything that brings a level of discomfort, and it doesn't give you the validation you want because you're not getting it and because you're not cut like that.
Life is hard. See, for every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. It happens to everybody.
We got to wake up every single day. We got to fight and we got to build it. In the midst of opposition, adversity, and challenges, like I told the guys I played with, I don't care how tall your daddy was, you got to do your own growing. True courage is the ability to accept pain and start things without any guarantee of success, but also understanding that the ability to learn is a gift even when pain is your teacher.
Life has disappointments. It got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you can retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley.
You judge the character of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. You got some of the most brilliant people on the face of this planet. When they hit adversity, they can't fight themselves out of a paper bag. And it's not even that they don't have the will, like they got it. It's that the perspective about the adversity isn't right. And I firmly believe perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do.
You can stop thinking that life finna be easy, cause I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're gonna have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable.
You watch a movie, you read a book, here's the story. At the beginning of the story, the main character is like really happy. She or he is really healthy. They have incredibly passionate, loving relationships. They have a great family. They love their career. They're financially free. They're spiritually alive. That's how it starts. And then about a third of the way through the story, the person's really happy. They're really healthy. They have a great family. Their finances are great. Their career's great. They feel spiritually and physically alive. And you get to the last portion of the book, and they're really healthy, and they're really happy, and they have great relationships and great finances, and everything's perfect. Who's going to go to that movie? Nobody, right? Because what makes us alive, what makes us grow, is facing a challenge. My teacher, Jim Rohn, said something to me when I was 17. I'm 60, and I've never forgotten it. He said, Tony, what you get will never make you happy. Who you become will make you really happy or really sad. And I found that to be totally true.
Now, the thing that happens, though, if we be able to really take control of our meaning is we got to pay attention to our emotions. So in your notes, write down emotions. Under emotions, in fact, you might want to write the word negative emotions. Negative emotions. Negative emotions. And then as soon as you write it down, cross it out. The word negative, anyway. What are some of your negative emotions? Tell me what they are. Fear, what else? Pardon me? Hate, what else? Anger, what else? Guilt, what else? Worry, what else? Upset, guilt, what else? Frustration. I got a question for you. Are they really negative? I'm here to tell you there's no way they're negative. Every emotion you've ever had in your life serves a purpose. The reason it's negative is you've been calling it negative instead of getting the message it's been trying to give you. Every emotion you have, including those you think of as negative, those ones you call negative emotions, I call them emotional messages. I also call them calls to action. All those negative emotions, as you used to label them, are really a call to action. Fear is a call to action. By the way, do you feel that call to action in your body when you're afraid? Yes or no? Does your adrenaline start pumping? Your whole system start gearing up? Emotions are a call to action. And the call to action says one of two things has to happen in that call to action. It's a message. Every emotion is a message. A call to action. And the action and the message it's trying to give you is that you need to change either, number one, your perception of this, or number two, your current actions. Every negative emotion you've ever felt is not negative. Now, you may be overusing them, I'll agree with you. You may be indulging in them, I agree with you. You may not be getting the message from them. What's making it negative is you're not getting the message it's trying to give you. But every emotion, fear, frustration, hate, anger, guilt, all of those emotions are here to serve you if you get quick the message. What most of us do is we just indulge in the emotion. So we never get the message, and that's why it's negative, because it starts screwing up your body, because what it is a signal to act, and you're not acting. That's why you feel sick to your stomach. You're not acting. You just keep on indulging emotion, not hearing the message. So the message is always, you must change something. Negative emotions are saying you got to change something. Either change the way you're perceiving this, change the meaning you link to this, change your perception, change your focus, or change your actions. Change what you're doing because it isn't working. That's why you're having that emotion. Don't make your emotions wrong. Appreciate them. Be grateful for them, but immediately then ask yourself, hey, what's the message that my emotion is trying to give me here? What do I need to change? My perception or my actions? Does this make sense? Yes, no?
Here's the key to the good life. Learn to put everything you've got into everything you do. Whatever you are doing, pour it on. It will quickly open up into opportunity or quickly disclose to you that you ought to be doing something else. The delusion is, if I had a better job, I'd really pour it on. See, that's delusion. Wherever you are, pour it on. Don't give somebody half a job for a day's pay. Pour it on. See, that'll help change your life. Get rid of this disease. Here's the next attitude disease, indecision. Mental paralysis. The guy can't make up his mind and it becomes a disease. Pretty soon he knows he's got it. The guy says, well, I know I'm on the fence. But he says, what if I get off on the wrong side? Listen, after a while it doesn't matter. Just get off. Any side will do. A life full of adventure is a life full of many decisions. The ones that turn out to be wrong give you better experience to make better decisions. So don't see how many decisions you can get out of. See how many you can get into. That's where the adventure is.
Everything that exists, everything within all creation, manifests through the harmonic vibration of light and sound. Everything that exists is light and sound. Everything that exists is, at its most basic form, simply pure energy.
You have to persuade infinite beings, multidimensional infinity, which we call humans, to believe that they are ordinary men and women in the street with no friggin' power.
This is my body, that's your body. This is my mind, that's your mind. There's no such thing as this is my life and that's your life. This is a living cosmos. Everybody is free to capture as much as they want. If you capture a substantial amount of life, your very presence will become a significant life, otherwise you will become a mediocre life. This is the important thing. It's not the knowledge you gather in your head. It's not the muscle that you gather in your body. It's the life well. To use another analogy. A dream, let us say we're dreaming that we're being attacked by a tiger in that condition. We're really afraid, we're perspiring, we may even be rolling and screaming in our bed now. Is that dream? Real or illusion, the reality is we are having that dream.
And energy is the stuff that drives the universe itself. All things are created from this energy. If you really get down to it and look at reality on a quantum level, it's all about different vibrational frequencies of light and sound. Everything. And it's all connected because all is energy. What we experience in the reality that we live in is that everything is connected by energy, and the energy permeates everything, much like the water permeates everything that exists within the ocean. You see, we're actually swimming in an ocean too, folks. It's an ocean of energy.
And to do that, you have to spend centuries and centuries suppressing the knowledge and the information that would allow people to see the true genius that we all are. Instead of being infinite beings, the idea is to put us in these eggshells, as I call them. Eggshells overwhelmingly made up of the four-letter word that controls the world, fear. So we shut out all that infinite levels of ourselves.
Why are you laughing? This makes a lot of sense. So you're out here and you're groping around and you're looking for your keys and you're looking and looking and your neighbor comes along and says what happened. Wait, well, I dropped my keys. Oh, I'll help you look for him. And the two of us are now down here looking for our keys and looking. Finally, he says to me, excuse me, but where did you drop your keys? Well, I dropped it in the house, he said. You mean to tell me that you dropped your keys in the house and you're looking for them out here in the streetlight? Doesn't make any sense. And I said, well, it doesn't make any sense to grope around in the dark when there's light out here. Now you laugh and think how silly that is. But isn't that exactly what we do when we have a problem?
We are quite literally moving through an ocean made of energy that permeates absolutely everything. And this is why everything is connected. This is why everything is one. Everything comes from a single source. And this is how we are connected, and it's how we are also completely separate. Now, when you really begin to get a grasp on this and you really begin to figure out what's going on here, and you realize that the body is simply a biological computer that's downloading a specific frequency that you experience as yourself, you really begin to question why human consciousness is in such a disunited state. You begin to see how easy it would actually be to change reality. And you have to also begin to question how we got into this disunited state. We only have 3% of our DNA active. We're only experiencing a very, very small bandwidth of reality. And that most of our body's shut down. Our pineal gland is completely inoperative.
All that knowledge, inspiration, wisdom, understanding, instinctive knowing, and we operate in a fraction of who we are. Only then can the few control the mass. And if people think, and I understand it, that a few people couldn't control this planet because there's too many people to control, well, they just have to look at what happens to herds of sheep every day all over the world. If those sheep expressed their uniqueness and didn't succumb to fear, they thought for themselves, it would be impossible to control those sheep. But how is it done then? We find that we have actually out-sheeped the sheep. We have dispensed with the sheepdog. We police each other.
The reality there are tigers somewhere the illusion is we're identifying with it. We're thinking that that is me in this dream, and the tiger is about to eat me. But in actuality, the dream is real, we're real, but when we're misidentifying with that dream, thinking that that's happening to me now, then that's the illusion, that's the idea of yoga or true spirituality, to actually learn to live in harmony with one's own self. We have this physical body, we have the mind, and all of the thoughts and emotions that comes through the mind. But who are we? I'm seeing through my eyes, I'm hearing through my ears, I'm touching through my flesh, I'm tasting through my tongue, I'm thinking through my brain, and I'm loving through my heart. But who is that me? That me is the essential consciousness that's giving life to every other aspect of our existence, our body and our mind.
When you really look at the entire human organism from an energetic perspective, it is something that is virtually inoperative. The higher senses are simply not functioning. The connection and the ability to be able to read and decode the energy field around us is virtually non-existent. And because of this, we are literally experiencing about 3% of reality. If you had a car and it was operating to 3% of its capability, if you had a computer that was functioning on 3% of its processor power, able to access 3% of the internet and use 3% of its graphics, in both cases you would consider your machinery to be inoperative. And yet what we have is human consciousness driving a vehicle that is in exactly this same inoperative state. But we don't realize it's happening because we don't look at reality from the correct perspective.
Consciousness is it's unique, but it's part and parcel of what is universal. And unless we understand that uniqueness of our own true consciousness, then we can't really appreciate the universal nature and how we're all actually connected. Everything is connected, and everyone is connected, and everything and everyone in this world is interdependent. And Emerson said that the reason why there's so many problems in this world is because human beings are disconnected from their own true self. The senses, the mind, the intelligence requires to be in harmony with the heart, and with the living force within the heart, which we call the soul or the spirit. And when we understand the sacredness, the beauty, the eternal nature of our own spirit, then we can recognize it in creation, and we can recognize it in others.
It makes it easier, yeah, but it doesn't cross the line where it becomes possible. That line is crossed when those who concede their mind to someone else's norms then insist that everyone else does the same. Because that's when the human race becomes not only the sheep, but the sheepdog. That's the point when we police each other. And when you've created this herd mentality, my goodness me, it's been around for a few thousand years now, and you've got people to police each other, what you do then is you break up the herd mentality into warring factions. What you do is you create organizations and belief systems that can be played off against each other, like religions, political parties, economic systems, and all this stuff.
When we don't realize, experience, perceive the sacredness of our own true self, then our perception is an illusion of the world. But when we understand who we are, and understand our harmony and relationship with the world around us, and the people around us, then we're actually seeing everything as truth. We're seeing as a spiritual reality, even in this world, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Albert Einstein once observed that you have the most fundamental and major decision that you have to make in your life is this: to live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Which isn't? Is it a universe that is filled with hostility and anger and people wanting to hate each other and people wanting to kill each other? Is that what you see? Because when you see the world that way, that's exactly what you will create for yourself in your life.
And then you get people to fight and war with each other. So now we're not only a herd mentality, the herd mentality is at war with itself. And while we're cussing each other and shouting each other and blaming each other, the few are pulling the strings of all sides. Because if you are going to hold a position of global control, you have to have conflict and chaos. You try manipulating harmony. You try manipulating people who have respect for another's right to be different. Someone with a different vision of possibility shows that the norms are not the only possible reality.
Make every day your masterpiece. The secret of your success, the secret of my success, is determined by what we do daily. And we've missed this all the time. I wrote a book called Today Matters. The reason I wrote the book Today Matters is because today matters. We over-exaggerate yesterday. We just think we were amazing yesterday. We weren't. Just trust me. Of course, when you're my age, 71, you don't need to worry about it. You forget. The other day I was in a car and Margaret looked at me and said, "John, we're forgetting everything." I said, "We kind of are, aren't we?" She said, "Let's do a plan." I said, "What's your plan?" She said, "You remember who we are, and I'll remember where we're going." Hey, it's working. It's really working. You got to divide it up a little bit. You got to divide it up. We over-exaggerate yesterday. Hey, we overestimate tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, tomorrow. I'll get to that tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll do that. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow. By the way, good intentions are worthless. Worthless, folks. When are you going to fall out of love with good intentions? They're worthless. Good intentions are worthless unless they lead to good actions. Nobody ever had their life changed by somebody hoping, thinking. Good intentions are not enough.
I wrote a book, maybe 8-10 years ago, called Put Your Dream to the Test. Okay. And it's just a good, solid book. And in it, the kind of the thesis of that book was that the more valid reasons you have to accomplish a dream, the higher the odds are that you will. Now that's a powerful thesis. So I mean, there's no cotton candy here. There's no hype stuff here.
Yes.
And so I basically looked at what are the valid reasons to achieve a dream, and there were 10 of them.
Okay.
And so I formed it in a way of questions. But the first question is your dream really your dream? And that's where we start at. Because can I tell you something? If your dream isn't really your dream, ain't going to work. And I tell people in the book, hey, the first dream we have isn't our dream. Yes. It's our parents' dream. My mom and dad, when I was 7, they thought I was going to be a musician. And so I'd taken piano lessons from the 7 years old to about 13. I wasn't any good at piano. It wasn't your giftedness. It wasn't my gift, but they're so proud. They go to my recitals and private. You see, I'm living their dream. I'm playing the piano. I can't play the piano. I'm not very good at it. I'm not gifted, but it doesn't matter. I'm living their dream. Yeah. So what I tell people all the time is we start off our life living someone else's dream, probably our parents. So what happens to a lot of people as adults, they never switch. So true. And so they're still living someone else's dream. And again, it's like a biblical analogy. It's King, or David before he was king, putting on King Saul's armor. Yes. It's not fitting, and he's staggering around there. Well, I know a lot of people, they're putting on someone else's armor, and they just aren't going to achieve because it's not who they are. It's not their dream.
So that's a key phrase. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in parentheses here. Same. What people do, that's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've been one of the stories. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long, right? Happenings. Anything can happen. Have you heard of Murphy's Laws? Anybody here heard of Murphy's Laws? Okay, most of you have. Murph had these laws. One of them was, if anything can go wrong, it will. That's one of Murphy's laws. He was not one of the great positive speakers of the day. But anyway, it's still true though, right? Anything can go wrong, everything can go wrong. For sure. I've fallen out of the sky so many times. Once to the tune of a couple of million. Devastating. Took me a while to survive that one. Now, it wasn't all that much, but it was all I had. Right? I mean, that's when it's much, right? When it's all you got. If you got 3, 2 go, you got 1 left, you ain't looking that bad. But when it all goes, has anybody been there when it all went? Anybody? Come on, the rest of you liars. Go ahead. Hey, we've all been there, right? When it all went. Of course, it used to be a long time ago, right? When you ran out of money, got to 0, you were all through. Heck, now you can whistle right on by 0, right? I mean, they will bury you. That's what they will do. But see, those are the happenings, right? Everything can happen. Anything can happen. But it's not the happenings. It's what you do about it. Somebody says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on. Everybody's had their share. Disappointments are not special gifts reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about it. It's not the weather. I used to blame the weather, and I discovered it rains on the rich. So see, that won't help. 2 men wake up one morning, there's a rainstorm on. One of them looks out his window, sees the rainstorm, and he says, wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect you to go out and make sales. He stays home. Same morning, the other guy looks out his window, sees the same storm, says, wow, what a storm. But he says, you know what, with weather like this, what a great day to go out and make sales. Most everybody will probably be home, especially the salesman. See, that's the difference in how your life works out. It's not what happens, it's what you do. So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference?
And I've learned to be detached to some degree. You know, that's one thing you learn as a clinician, is people are always talking to you about terrible things and the difficulties in their life, and you can take that home and have it destroy you because you're constantly exposed to the troubles of existence, and they're real troubles, you know. And I mean, it's not unique to clinicians. You see that with physicians and palliative care workers and people who work in morgues and emergency responders, and like there's lots of people who face the very difficult aspects of life very frequently. You detach yourself from it to some degree, you know, and I don't mean in a disinterested way. I mean in a way that is sort of allied with a longer term view. You know, like if I'm doing an interview now with someone who's attacking me, and I can get irritable. I think I was too irritable in the GQ interview, for example, which some of you might have watched. I think, well, I'm not going to jump to conclusions about how this is going to go, even with regards to how it feels right in the moment. We'll see how it unfolds across time. And I'll try to manage myself in the moment with the least amount of upset that I can manage. And it's part of the doctrine of minimal necessary force. Like one of the things I've learned, if you have a dispute with someone and it needs to be settled, and maybe they need to change more than you, and that's not always the case because sometimes the settling requires change on your part, but let's say that they have to be defeated in some sense in comparison to you. You don't want to defeat them any more than necessary. You know, it's like you don't knock your opponent to the ground and then jump up and down on them 3 or 4 times in triumph. You know, you pin them and then let them up. Minimal necessary force, because any more than that just produces a counter reaction. And so, and I guess the other thing is my motivation when I'm engaged, let's say in these discussions, is that I'm not trying to win the argument. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to say what I think as clearly as I can. And there might be one of the consequences of that might be what appears to be a victory, but the right victory is the victory for your ability to articulate what you believe. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so that's another reason to stay composed. It's like, well, okay, this person has just thrown a curveball at me. It's like, all right, so, well, I could be thinking, well, I don't want to be undermined by that, and I don't want to make a fool of myself, and I don't want to be put on the spot. And of course, all of those things are true. But mostly what I'm thinking about is, okay, well, now I've got that question. I want to answer as truthfully as I possibly can. What do I think about what was just said? And I'm not calculating the outcome. I'm assuming this is a mark of faith.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
Never let what you want to say get in the way of what your audience wants to hear. Conduct communications intelligence. Ask them, listen to what they're telling you, and then craft and create a story out of your experiences and things you've observed and learned to begin to allow them to see a vision of themselves differently than what they had when you came in. Orchestrate an experience. That experience is major. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy.
Most people have goals in life. We would both think you gotta be goal-oriented. That's the first mistake. Yes, you need goals, but there's something far beyond goals, which is what all successful people have, and that's a vision.
A vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you. You gotta have a vision for what it is you really, truly want. Not what you think you want or what you should have.
You've got to focus on you. And as you convince you, as you sell yourself every day, you will begin to see a difference in the things that you're doing. Selling yourself on your ability to perform a job, to achieve a certain objective. Telling yourself every day, here I go again. And I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. He said it'll all change.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Where all you want to do is be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it bad and then you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you got to be willing to give up sleep. You got to be willing to work off for 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours. If you really want to be successful, some days you're going to have to stay up 3 days in a row. Because if you go to sleep, you might miss the opportunity to be successful. That's how bad you got to want it.
I look at myself every day, and I always come back to the conclusion, I can't be like everybody else. I don't want to be like everybody else. I never said that I was the best, but I'm going to be the best of myself. I'm going to be good within myself. I'm going to learn within myself. I'm going to seek everything that I need within myself. And I may not have everyone celebrating with me. Everybody's not going to clap for me. But I have to have the ability to celebrate for myself. I don't need to be a part of a crowd to feel good about who I am inside. You don't need to be a part of a crowd to know who you are inside. Because everything that everybody else is doing doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you. You don't need to be like everybody else, but you need to be the best of yourself. Be able to feel good about who you are, what you are, and what you are ultimately made of. Because without that, how far are you willing to go? Don't sacrifice yourself to please others. Don't give all of your energy to people who really don't care about you. Make sure you understand the significance and how you go about your life.
Why do you feel that you need to be a part of a group or some kind of an organization to feel important? Do you feel that it's necessary for you to stand out because you're a part of a group? Now, I'm not going to tell you that being a part of a group or even an organization is a bad thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it justifies who you are as a person. When you're walking the path and you're going about your day, or let's just say your life, do you ever take a moment to think to yourself about your uniqueness, about maybe it's okay to be alone and have some me time? Do you feel that you have to be a part of a group of individuals to make you feel better, to make you feel special, to make you feel that you belong? You belong more than you ever imagined in your life. You are more than just what you think you are. You don't necessarily have to be a part of a group or follow a crowd to stand out. Think about it. Just because everyone is jumping in the ocean, that doesn't mean you have to. In fact, most of the times you may be jumping in the ocean and there's a school of sharks out there. Do you honestly think the people that you are in the ocean with will save you if the sharks decide to attack? Or maybe you haven't even gave it even a thought that maybe today I shouldn't even be in the ocean swimming. Maybe I'll just take a walk on the beach. Ladies and gentlemen, for many years, people have made the ultimate mistake of trying to be like everybody else. But doesn't help you, does it? Doesn't give you everything you really need, does it? It doesn't really get you where you want to be in your life. Because there could be some great disappointments in your life because you put so much trust in people instead of trusting yourself. Trusting your own ideas. Being alone sometimes can make you strong. Doesn't necessarily make you a weak person, but it gives you time to rectify within yourself, to have some clarity, maybe even some closure in your life. Sure, you can hang out with people. Sure, you could be a part of people's lives, but make sure you keep the right company around you. Make sure you keep the right people in your life. Because everybody that you think means something to you may not necessarily mean something to them. You may be an obstacle in their way. So don't put all of your trust, don't put all of your eggs in a basket and think that that's all you need. You have to explore other things, other horizons. You have to understand that there's going to be a lot of challenges ahead of you, but you have to continue to press on. You have to continue to follow your own path. You have to continue to believe in your own ideas. You have to continue to believe in you.
I mean, how bad do you want your goal right now? I think there's a lot of people in the world today, because it's a really niche thing to talk about, I want this is my outcome, this is my goal. Like, how bad do you want? Do you want it as bad as breathing? Do you want it as bad as anything you ever wanted in your life? And if you calibrate it at the highest enough levels, what I found is the people that are the hungriest, they find a way. When you know why you want something, when it's desperation, the power of being desperate is something that most people avoid. They think desperation is a weakness. And I'm here to tell you, desperation is one of the most powerful emotions you could possibly possess, because when you're desperate, you find reserves and reservoirs of ideas, talents, and a strength that you don't know you have when you find yourself in a desperate situation. So ironically, the one thing most people avoid in their life, hunger, which is caused by being desperate. When you're starving, you become desperate. Think of somebody who's starving on the street. They've got to, how resourceful would you get if your children were literally starving and you had to feed them, right? So the number one thing we need more than anything to win is hunger, which comes from a state of desperation. Yet we're constantly trying to comfort ourselves in the real world to avoid the state of being desperate. And I'm telling you that I think you need to embrace desperation again in your life. Like, do you want it so bad that you're desperate for it? Let me see, in a fight, you show me two people. This is why it's so hard to repeat as a champion in the fighting game. Because you show me someone who's up and coming, who's hungry for that title, who's never had it before, who can taste it, who knows if they win that belt, their whole life's going to change. They're going to be champion of the world, all the endorsements, all the money, all their family life, all their parents' lives are going to change. You show me somebody chasing that, hungry for it, against someone who's just trying to hold on to a title. And that's why most of the time the challenger beats the champ. It's hard to repeat as a champion because the hunger goes down just a little bit. The greatest athletes, the Kobes, the Bradys, the Jordans of sports, have a way of feeding their hunger all the time and increasing it. What separates them isn't just their work ethic, isn't just their talent, although those things matter, isn't just they practice more. What separates them is they're just hungrier. They somehow find a way as they climb up the ranks and win championships to get even hungrier for more, where 99% of the athletes lose just a little bit of their edge once they get that first championship, that first pro contract, that first big amount of money, that first world championship. They just lose their hunger a little bit. And then there's the elite. They get hungrier. It feeds the beast.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.